ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has again called on party members to unite and focus on rebuilding the governing organisation. He delivered a lengthy political report tonight to a lukewarm audience at times at the Newzroom Afrika Centre in the south of Johannesburg.
This 55th National Conference is indeed a watershed moment for the African National Congress. The theme of our conference is defend and advance the gains of freedom, unity through renewal. This theme calls upon all of us as delegates to this conference to pursue with greater vigor the rebuilding and renewal of the ANC, and as a united movement to advance the fundamental transformation of our economy and our society.
Well, let's talk more about the ANC President's political report now with the political analyst Xolani Dube. Mr. Dube, very good evening to you. Grateful for your time tonight. So, organizational renewal and unity, a recurring theme for the past, maybe 3 to 4 ANC conferences. I wonder if the party at this point is not flogging a dead horse because it appears to be moving further and further apart between conferences.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. I think the Judas goat today was strolling freely, and he was blowing the hot air as usual, you know. And the whole document, especially the economic section, is based on neoliberal agenda, and is not different from what they presented to us previously. What is known as South African Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, of which was premised mainly on the economics of energy, and those economics of energy are of neoliberal outlook. And so I think that what is going to happen in Newzroom, because a number of people there, they are more concerned about personalities than the ideological component of what Cyril Ramaphosa presented today. They are going to adopt it, and the neo-liberal policies that were entrenched during colonialism and apartheid and by the 1994 elite transition is still going to continue. And we are not going to really free the South African natives. And the issue of personalities, the whole thing of Jacob Zuma, the singing and so forth, we have seen it before, and it is not adding value to our liberation of the South African natives. And so it will be better not to talk about it, but to talk about substantive issues that will affect us tomorrow moving forward.
And what should those issues be at this stage?
Is really the contest from us to ask a serious question when it comes to the issues of the state bank, you know, that they are talking about, because we've seen it in South Africa. We had what you call it the land bank, you know, and in KwaZulu-Natal we are having what you call it a Itala bank. There was a PPS, and we have number of financial institutions like your PIC and your National Empowerment Fund, and there was Umsobom. We have to ask ourselves as South African natives now that all these tools that were aiming to empower us, what happened to them? The answer is very simple. Is there in the Zondo Commission, of which today, if you have listened carefully, Cyril Ramaphosa admitted that the ANC has successfully achieved a coup through its corruption in our country, and us as the South African natives, we have been misplaced in our agenda. And so I think that the real discourse is not about the hopes and the expectation or the apprehension that we might be having in relation to this conference. Is what is the new agenda that we can craft that is outside the ANC? Because what the ANC is doing, to be quite honest, is confirming some of the typecast that other nations always throw at us, that we can't govern ourselves, we can't find peace amongst ourselves, we hate each other. And so we can't go out and argue against those things, because ANC is really confirming this typecast. But if we as South African natives, we have a serious problem. And that serious problem is being created by the ANC.
But if the running of the country by the ANC has been such a colossal failure, even with waning support, how do you explain that it is still the most popular political organization in this country, where even when you drive through some areas, people will tell you that they'd rather not vote than not vote ANC?
Look, remember, Tembegile, that the strongest weapon of your oppressor is your side, you know. And you have to understand that ANC was captured by Jos Lovo, the Horrod Volpi, and the so-called the Natali Indian Congress to push a neoliberal agenda that has got nothing to do with the native agenda. And so ANC was captured long time ago, so as well as our psych was being captured. The only thing that we need to do in each and every corner in our ghettos is to start to have a conversation that says, really, what happened to the native agenda and how can we answer the native question in our country? Once we start to have those questions, that's where we'll really understand that the ANC is kind of an element that is defocusing us to our journey of freeing ourselves from our colonizers.
But is there a single such agenda when you consider just how many of us are at such varying or different stages of life, and how quickly self-interest creeps in, even beyond the ANC?
Look, you have to understand that the world is divided between the slave and the master. And what keeps this relationship is a continuous war, and the war is being waged in different levels. There's an epistemological war, and also we as South African natives, we have not decided that we have to enter into this war to free ourselves. But we can't free ourselves if we really don't do away with the ANC, because the ANC is the one that is becoming kind of a prison for us. And the prison master, we have not seen it. And so we have to leave the prison and find the prison master so that we can free ourselves. Because the spectacle that you have seen it today, you know, it will be very sad for me that my child, your child, will witness the same thing. We witnessed this thing during Thabo Mbeki and during Jacob Zuma, and now is with Cyril Ramaphosa. And the question that you have to ask ourselves, ANC, is it serious about the native agenda? The answer is no. And so that's why I'm saying we as the South African natives, we need to start to have a frank discourse. And I know it very well that such a frank discourse, it will require a lot of sacrifice. But to reach heaven, you must go through hell.
On that point then, so Cyril Ramaphosa, as president of the ANC and president of the country, has quite a significant list of critics, even internally in the ANC, among them Xolani Dube, who sees himself, in fact, as a future president of the ANC, as does Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, Lindiwe Sisulu as well. When you look at his challenges, are any of them up to the task of leading the ANC on perhaps a significant enough U-turn for it to convince people such as yourself and the electorate who've now stopped going to the ballot to give the party their votes, that it is indeed a party that can be salvaged and do better for the country?
Look, you know, what is happening there is a choiceless choice. You know, it's a choiceless choice, you know. It's just an illusionary war that has been crafted, you know. And whoever is going to emerge there, it will be crowning another Judas goat, someone who will simply send us to the altar of the colonialist and to the altar of neoliberal agenda. Xolani Dube, Mamlindiwe, Didi Mabuza, you name them, you know, these are ossified ANC leaders. They've been there for years. I've never had even on a single day them saying, look, we are principled and we have conviction on liberating the natives. And so whatever that the ANC is doing is betraying the historical yearning of the native. And we are going to move out of this political organization. People like Robert Mangaliso Sobuga did that when he saw that, look, the Horrod Volpi and Jos Lovo have captured the ANC and they imposed the Freedom Charter to the South African native. They decided on principle that we are leaving this organization. We rather die on principle than kneeling on our knees begging for crumbs from other nations. And so I think that's where we need to be, because if the South African native, they can stand up and fight a good cause, let me tell you something, South Africa can be a better country. But currently, we as South African native were like scavengers, and so that's why we are corrupt, because we don't have a system that we have created, a system that accommodates us. We'll keep on stealing. We'll keep on talking about brokenness. We'll keep on insulting each other because we have not created a system that will unleash our potential, a system that will say, these are the good soldiers of moral and ethics. Okay. And so we are just the wandering human beings.
But who would lead, Xolani, who would lead that system? Because South Africa has found itself, hasn't it, especially in the last 3 decades, in perpetual pursuit of a savior. You see it in who's elected ANC president. You see it in when one person is perhaps seen as dissenting, they then become the hero of the moment. But then there's a rude awakening when everyone realizes that, in fact, all the messiahs of the past are fallible.
Look, there's the problem with us natives. We are looking for the Messiah. Look at the Afrikaners. There was a national party. When the national party accomplished its agenda and starting to become irrelevant, they simply decided that, look, we are folding this organization, we are putting it into the archives of the Afrikaner history. And then they come up with solidarity and Afrifora. That's what we need to do. The question is, do we have really thinkers in the native communities? If we have thinkers in the native communities, those are the people who are supposed to stand up and craft a new agenda for new inclusive South Africa, where a child of a native cannot go to Curo and claim that he is being excluded, but where a child of a native can go wherever and feel that he is a human being in this motherland. Because the more we keep on postponing and have this question that says, ANC or nothing. Let me tell you something. We'll be talking about transformation. We'll be talking about, we'll be trying to find scapegoating, and we'll be playing a victim card. That time is over. This conference of the ANC must give us a serious prognosis that says, really, we have no option. We need to jump off this wagon and craft our own path, because this wagon is no longer relevant for the future.
Xolani Dube, thank you for your time, sir.